Have you ever stopped to think about the unimaginable mysteries hidden in the map of the United States? Today I'll reveal 50 impressive, seemingly false, but completely true geographic facts about the United States. Join me because by the end, there will be many you won't believe. 50, you can literally stand in 4 states at once. At a place known as the Four Corners Monument, you can stand in Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, and Colorado, all at the same time. It's the only point in the US where 4 states meet perfectly at one spot. Visitors love crouching awkwardly just to get a photo with each limb in a different state. The area is managed by the Navajo Nation, and though the exact border was once debated due to surveying issues, the monument stands firm. 4 states, 1 footprint. 49. Alaska is so big it could fit 22 smaller states inside. People often underestimate just how massive Alaska truly is, covering over 663,000 square miles. It's bigger than Texas, California, and Montana combined. If you were to stretch Alaska over the continental US, it would touch both the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Yet, despite its size, it's one of the least densely populated places in America. It's like owning a mansion and living in one room. 48. Florida is the flattest state in the country. Despite its endless palm trees and swampy wildlife, Florida is practically pancake-level flat. The state's highest natural point, Britton Hill, stands only 345 feet above sea level, much shorter than many skyscrapers in Miami. This makes Florida vulnerable to flooding, but perfect for those who hate hiking uphill. Drive across the state, and your elevation changes are so subtle you'd never notice. 47. Mount Denali can make Mount Everest look small. Denali, located in Alaska, has a summit elevation of 20,310 feet. But here's the twist. When measured from its base to its peak, not from sea level, Denali actually rises higher than Mount Everest. Its sheer vertical rise of over 18,000 feet makes it one of the most dramatic mountain ascents in the world. It's like nature decided to show off in America's most rugged state. 46. There's a desert in Alaska. It sounds impossible, but Alaska has the Kobuk Sand Dunes, a genuine desert of golden sand surrounded by tundra. These dunes stretch over 25 square miles, sculpted by ancient glaciers and winds. Caribou occasionally wander through, looking as confused as visitors do. It's one of the strangest juxtapositions in geography. Ice-cold Arctic weather and a warm, sandy desert in the same place. Before continuing, don't forget to subscribe so you can discover the hidden stories and curiosities of the United States that no one else will tell you. 45. The US has the world's largest freshwater lake. Lake Superior, bordering Michigan, Minnesota, and Wisconsin, holds about 10% of the world's surface fresh water. To put that into perspective, it's large enough to submerge both North and South America under a foot of water. If you stood on one shore, the curvature of the earth would hide the other side. That's how massive it is. And yet, it's so clear that ships wrecked centuries ago are still visible beneath its surface. 44. Kansas isn't the flattest state. It's number 7. Kansas has a reputation for being flatter than a pancake, but scientifically, that's a myth. Studies using satellite topography reveal that states like Florida, Illinois, and even Delaware are flatter. Kansas actually has gentle rolling plains that rise steadily westward. So yes, it looks flat, but mathematically speaking, there's more shape to it than people think. 43. You can't drive to Juneau, Alaska. Despite being a US capital, Juneau isn't accessible by car. The only way in or out is by plane or boat. Surrounded by mountains and glaciers, no roads connect it to the rest of Alaska. It's one of the few capitals in the world where your car is practically useless. Locals rely heavily on ferries and small planes, making daily life feel like living on a remote island. 42. Death Valley is both the hottest and driest place in America. Death Valley, California, once recorded a blistering temperature of 134 degrees, one of the highest ever measured on Earth. Its landscape is otherworldly, salt flats, sand dunes, and cracked earth that looks like it belongs on Mars. Despite the name, it's not lifeless. Species like the desert tortoise and even tiny wildflowers manage to survive there. But if your car breaks down, good luck. 41. The Mississippi River reverses its flow during hurricanes. Normally, the Mississippi flows south into the Gulf of Mexico, but during strong hurricanes, the storm surge can push seawater so far inland that the river briefly reverses direction. This phenomenon has been recorded several times, most notably during Hurricane Ida in 2021. It's a reminder of nature's raw power. A river that normally drains half a continent can suddenly run backward. 40. Maine is closer to Africa than to some parts of the US. From its easternmost tip, Maine is actually geographically closer to the northwest coast of Africa than it is to cities like Miami or San Diego. If you look at a globe instead of a flat map, it makes sense. The curvature of the Earth makes transatlantic routes shorter from New England than from the southern states. That's why early transatlantic flights often launched from there. 39, there's a town named Boring, next to a town called Dull. In Oregon, you'll find Boring, a quiet little town that decided to partner with Dull, Scotland in 2012 as official sister cities. Their slogan, Boring and Dull, a pair for the ages. The collaboration turned into a lighthearted tourism boost, with a day officially recognized as Boring and Dull Day. It's proof that geography doesn't have to be serious to be fun. 38, the US has a volcano that erupts almost every day. Kilauea in Hawaii is one of the most active volcanoes on the planet. For decades, it's been continuously erupting, reshaping the island with fresh lava flows. Its activity is closely monitored by scientists and revered by locals as sacred. Seeing glowing lava pouring into the ocean at night is like watching the earth breathe fire, both terrifying and mesmerizing. 37, the tallest mountain in the Rockies, is in Colorado, but barely. Mount Elbert stands at 14,440 feet, just about 12 feet higher than Mount Massive, also in Colorado. Hikers once tried to secretly pile rocks on top of Mount Massive to make it taller, only for rival hikers to remove them. It's the most wholesome geographic rivalry imaginable. Two mountains quietly competing for bragging rights. 36. Lake Michigan has its own mini ocean waves. On windy days, Lake Michigan can produce waves up to 20 feet tall. These freshwater swells mimic ocean tides and have even caused shipwrecks. In Chicago, locals call sudden tidal surges seiches, when atmospheric pressure causes the water to rise abruptly. It's not uncommon for warning sirens to sound along beaches when these freshwater tsunamis form out of nowhere. 35. There's a state with two time zones split right down the middle. South Dakota has an invisible timeline running through it. The eastern half follows Central Time, while the western side sticks to Mountain Time. If you drive across the state, you literally lose or gain an hour midway. Residents joke that time flies when crossing the Missouri River, and they mean it literally. 34. Hawaii is the most isolated population center on Earth. The Hawaiian Islands are about 2,400 miles from California, making them the most remote inhabited archipelago in the world. Despite the distance, they have an incredible mix of ecosystems, from snowy peaks to tropical beaches, all within a few hours' drive. Its isolation is why so many species there evolved nowhere else on Earth, like the colorful Hawaiian honeycreeper birds. 33. Utah has the only place in the world where 5 national parks are in one state. Utah's Mighty Five, Arches, Bryce Canyon, Canyonlands, Capitol Reef, and Zion are all within a few hours' drive of each other. Each park looks like a scene from another planet. Red stone arches, alien hoodoos, and canyons so deep you can lose signal for hours. It's the ultimate playground for geologists and photographers alike. 32. There's a hidden underwater waterfall in the ocean near Hawaii, beneath the ocean surface. Off the coast of Hawaii, there's a massive underwater waterfall, the world's largest. It forms where cold, dense water from the Arctic meets warmer tropical waters, creating a downward flow between the layers. It's invisible from the surface, but it moves more water than any river on Earth. If you could see it, it would look like a cascade the size of a mountain range. 31. There's a lake in Oregon that has no bottom, sort of. Crater Lake is the deepest lake in the United States, plunging nearly 2,000 feet deep. Formed inside a collapsed volcano, it has no rivers flowing into or out of it. It's filled only by rain and snow. Its water is so pure it reflects the sky in near-perfect blue. Scientists use it to study how isolated ecosystems can survive in extreme purity. 30. You can see Russia from the US, literally. While it became a meme years ago, the statement is geographically accurate. From certain points on Alaska's Little Diomede Island, you can actually see Big Diomede Island, which belongs to Russia, just 2.4 miles away across the Bering Strait. Between them runs the International Date Line, meaning you can technically see tomorrow. In winter, the sea often freezes, creating a surreal view of another continent that's close enough to spot with the naked eye, yet separated by politics, time, and temperature. 29. There's a town that's always moving because it's on a glacier. Whittier, Alaska might just be one of the strangest towns in America. Nearly all its residents live in a single building called Bagish Towers, built on top of ground that's slowly shifting due to glacial movement. The entire town, its post office, police station, and school exists under one roof. The glacier's steady motion causes constant adjustments to infrastructure, making Whittier both a functioning community and a moving target of nature's engineering. 28. Nebraska has a desert and a rainforest. Most people picture Nebraska as endless farmland, but the state hides one of the world's most bizarre ecological combinations. The Nebraska sandhills form a desert-like region of rolling dunes covering nearly a quarter of the state, while the far eastern edge has dense woodlands that resemble a mini rainforest during humid summers. In the span of a single day's drive, you can go from dry, shifting sands to lush, dripping forests without ever leaving the Cornhusker State. 27. There's a magnetic hill in Pennsylvania that defies gravity. Outside the small town of Bedford, Pennsylvania, lies Gravity Hill, a spot where your car seems to roll uphill when in neutral. It's an optical illusion caused by the landscape. Trees and slopes tilt in such a way that your brain misreads the incline. Tourists flock there to experience the eerie sensation of gravity reversing. It's one of dozens of similar spots in the US, but Bedford's is among the most famous, proving geography can play tricks on the mind. 26. The United States owns the world's longest cave system. Mammoth Cave in Kentucky stretches over 420 miles underground, and on new tunnels are still being mapped. To put that in perspective, that's about the distance from New York City to Cleveland. Some chambers are so vast they could fit skyscrapers inside, while others are so narrow that explorers must crawl through. It's a labyrinth of geological wonder that's still growing and changing with time, as water continues to carve deeper into the limestone. 25. You can drive from the Arctic Circle to the tropics without leaving the US. Thanks to Alaska and Hawaii, the US spans an incredible range of latitudes, from the Arctic Circle down to tropical islands. If you started in northern Alaska, you'd see tundra and polar bears. If you ended in Hawaii, you'd find palm trees and volcanic beaches. No other country on Earth covers such a broad spectrum of climate zones under one flag. It's like traveling across entire continents without ever showing a passport. 24. There's a giant meteor crater in Arizona that you can see from space. The Barringer crater near Winslow, Arizona is nearly a mile wide and over 500 feet deep, formed about 50,000 years ago by a meteorite traveling 26,000 miles per hour. It remains one of the best preserved impact sites on Earth. Standing at its edge, you can grasp the scale of cosmic energy that once struck here, the equivalent of 150 times the power of the Hiroshima bomb. It's geology and astronomy colliding in the most literal way possible. 23. There's a river that disappears and reappears in Texas. The Lost River, or Rio Frio, near Uvalde, Texas, vanishes underground in certain stretches, only to bubble back up miles later. This phenomenon occurs because the river flows through a karst landscape full of sinkholes and porous limestone that absorbs the water like a sponge. Locals once thought it was haunted by spirits that made it vanish at will. Today, scientists just call it hydrology, but the mystery remains part of its charm. 22. The Continental Divide makes rivers flow to opposite oceans. The Rocky Mountains contain the Continental Divide, an invisible line that separates rivers flowing to the Pacific Ocean from those flowing to the Atlantic. Drop a single raindrop on one side of a mountain in Colorado, and it might eventually reach California. Drop it on the other side, and it could end up in the Gulf of Mexico. It's like nature's version of a fork in the road, except made entirely of water. 21. The deepest point in the United States is underwater. While Mount Denali towers above the continent, the deepest U.S. point lies far below the ocean, the Challenger Deep within the Mariana Trench south of Guam. It plunges nearly 36,000 feet, deeper than Mount Everest is tall. Submersibles exploring the area find bizarre pressure-resistant creatures living in perpetual darkness. It's technically part of U.S. territory, meaning the country owns both the highest and lowest points accessible to humans. 20. The U.S. has a river that boils naturally. In Yellowstone National Park, there are sections of rivers heated so intensely by underground volcanic activity that the water boils at the surface. The aptly named Boiling River allows hot spring water to mix with cold mountain runoff, creating pockets of warmth where you can safely soak if you know the right spots. Step too far though, and it's scalding. It's one of the few places in the world where geothermal activity meets a flowing river. 19. There's a place where it rains fish. In the small town of Lajitas, Texas, locals have documented a rare phenomenon where fish literally fall from the sky after storms. It's caused by waterspouts, tornadoes that form over water, which suck up small fish and deposit them miles inland. It sounds unbelievable, but it's a verified meteorological event. Residents say the fish rains happen every few years, and yes, the fish are often still alive when they land. 18. The United States has more coastline than you think. When people think of US coastlines, they picture California or Florida. But when you include Alaska, America's total coastline stretches over 95,000 miles. That's longer than the entire circumference of the Earth. Much of Alaska's coast remains uninhabited and wild, shaped by glaciers and fjords. In fact, if you removed Alaska from the count, the US coastline would instantly shrink by more than half. 17. The Great Salt Lake is shrinking fast, but it's still huge. Utah's Great Salt Lake is the largest saltwater lake in the Western Hemisphere. It's so salty that swimmers float effortlessly, much like in the Dead Sea, but its size fluctuates dramatically. In recent years, drought and water diversion have caused it to shrink to record lows. Even so, its vast mirror-like surface still reflects sunsets so vividly it looks like a sheet of liquid glass stretching across the desert. 16. The United States has the world's tallest trees. California's coast redwoods, particularly those in Redwood National Park, reach over 370 feet tall, taller than the Statue of Liberty. Some are over 2,000 years old and still growing. Walking among them feels like entering a natural cathedral, with sunlight filtering through canopies hundreds of feet above. These giants thrive only in a narrow coastal belt where fog keeps them moist, making their ecosystem as fragile as it is majestic. 15. There's a lake that changes color every season. In Mono Lake, California, mineral-rich waters and microorganisms create surreal shades of blue, green, and even pink depending on the temperature and light. The lake's tufa towers, odd limestone formations rising from the water, add to the alien vibe. Despite its harsh chemistry, it teems with life, especially tiny brine shrimp that attract millions of migratory birds. It's a vivid reminder that beauty and biology often thrive where we least expect it. 14. A river in the Grand Canyon flows backward. Every night, the Colorado River's side tributaries experience a strange nighttime reversal due to temperature changes and pressure differences between the canyon walls. As the air cools, it pushes back against the lighter, warmer air flowing through, causing minor backflows. It's invisible to the naked eye, but measurable with instruments. It's not a myth. Even in one of the world's most famous canyons, the rules of physics like to bend a little. 13. The US has a hidden underwater forest. Off the coast of Alabama, beneath 60 feet of water, lies a preserved cypress forest estimated to be over 60,000 years old. Discovered after a hurricane stirred up sediments, the forest remains almost perfectly intact thanks to lack of oxygen and sunlight. Divers say it smells like freshly cut wood even today. It's a submerged time capsule from the Ice Age, revealing a landscape that existed long before humans arrived in North America. 12. The largest volcano on Earth isn't in Hawaii, it's in the Pacific but still US territory. Mauna Loa may be famous, but the true giant is Tamu Massif, a massive seamount near the Mariana Trench. It's part of US territorial waters and covers an area roughly the size of New Mexico. Though extinct, it's so broad that its slopes are barely noticeable when viewed from above. Scientists only confirmed its scale in recent decades, redefining what we thought we knew about the planet's volcanic structures. 11. The United States has a rain shadow desert. The Mojave Desert owes its dryness to something called the rain shadow effect. Moist Pacific air rises over California's Sierra Nevada mountains, cools, and drops rain on the western side. By the time it crosses the peaks, there's no moisture left, leaving the land behind bone dry. That's why you can drive from lush forests to barren desert in just a few hours. It's geography's way of showing how mountains can control entire ecosystems. Before moving on to the top 10, remember to subscribe to the channel and give it a like to become a wise expert in American geography. 10. The lowest point in North America is just miles from the highest. Few places in the world show such dramatic contrast as California's eastern region. Within a span of about 85 miles, You can visit Mount Whitney, the tallest peak in the contiguous US at 14,505 feet, and then descend into Death Valley's Badwater Basin, which sits 282 feet below sea level. That's nearly a 15,000 foot difference in elevation, all within a 2-hour drive. On a clear day, you can actually see the snow-capped peak of Mount Whitney from the sun-baked salt flats of Death Valley. It's as if Earth decided to squeeze an entire mountain range and a deep sea trench into the same zip code. 9. There's a place where lava and snow meet. At the summit of Mauna Kea, Hawaii's tallest volcano, you can literally walk through snow while standing on ancient lava flows, rising 13,803 feet above sea level and nearly 33,000 feet from its base on the ocean floor. Mauna Kea is technically the tallest mountain in the world when measured from base to peak. In winter, locals ski or snowboard near the summit while warm breezes drift up from tropical beaches below. It's one of the few places on Earth where you can surf in the morning and ski in the afternoon without ever leaving the island. 8. There's a river that freezes from the bottom up. In Alaska, the Chena River near Fairbanks does something counterintuitive. Instead of freezing from the surface downward like most rivers, it begins freezing from the bottom up. That's because the moving current keeps the surface warmer, while ice crystals form and attach to the riverbed first. This phenomenon, known as anchor ice, can trap fish and even lift river ice upward, creating bizarre frozen bulges. It's a reminder that cold environments rewrite the rules of physics every winter. 7. The longest straight road in America is almost hypnotic, US. Route 50, famously dubbed the loneliest road in America, stretches across Nevada for over 400 miles without a major curve. Travelers describe it as mesmerizing and eerie. Endless asphalt framed by mountains and desert that seem to repeat like a looped video. You can drive for hours without seeing another car, gas station, or tree. It's so flat and featureless that some people experience optical illusions of movement in the horizon. Bring snacks, a good playlist, and plenty of fuel, because once you're on it, there's no turning back easily. 6. There's an island that moves every year. Assateague Island, shared by Maryland and Virginia, shifts about 3 to 4 inches westward annually due to strong Atlantic currents and storms. Over decades, that adds up to miles of movement. The island is home to herds of wild horses that have adapted to its changing sands. Scientists estimate that without human management, Assateague would have drifted far inland by now. The beach you walk on today literally won't exist in the same place for your grandchildren. It's geography in motion, one grain of sand at a time. 5. There's a lake that breathes. Lake Mead, the massive reservoir formed by the Hoover Dam, doesn't just rise and fall with rainfall, it actually breathes throughout the year. In summer heat, evaporation can cause the surface to drop several feet, exposing white mineral bathtub rings along the cliffs. When cooler weather and rainfall return, the lake swells again, reclaiming the shoreline. This natural fluctuation is so precise that scientists use it to track climate shifts in the American Southwest. It's a living barometer of water and time, carved right into the desert. 4. The US has an actual ice volcano. Each winter on the shores of Lake Erie, near Ohio and New York, waves crash against the frozen edges of the lake and force water up through cracks in the ice. The pressure causes it to erupt like a miniature volcano, spewing icy slush instead of lava. Locals call these formations ice volcanoes, and though they're short-lived, they create surreal frozen landscapes that look straight out of another planet. Some can even reach over 25 feet tall before collapsing when the temperature rises. 3. The state of Washington has a rainbow mountain. Mount Rainier may steal the spotlight, but near the town of Chelan lies a lesser-known geological marvel, a mountain ridge with rock layers that naturally display vivid reds, greens, and purples. The colors come from mineral oxidation, much like how rust forms, except on a grand scale. When sunlight hits the slopes after rainfall, the entire mountain seems to glow in bands of color, earning it the nickname the Rainbow of the Cascades. No filters needed. This is all pure chemistry and geology showing off. 2. The US has the longest continuous barrier island in the world, stretching 113 miles along the Texas coast. Padre Island is the planet's longest undeveloped barrier island. It protects the mainland from hurricanes, serves as a crucial nesting site for endangered Kemp's Ridley sea turtles, and features dunes taller than some buildings. Despite its beauty, it's constantly reshaped by storms and tides, proving that even the biggest landforms are temporary guests of the ocean. The contrast between the calm lagoons on one side and roaring surf on the other is a masterclass in coastal balance. 1. You can be in the exact center of North America, and it's in a tiny town. The geographic center of the North American continent lies in Rugby, North Dakota, marked by a stone monument and a sign welcoming you to the center of it all. This unassuming spot is surprisingly symbolic. Scientists calculated it using latitude and longitude averages across the continent, including Canada and Mexico. The result? A peaceful prairie town that became a continental landmark. Nearby residents joke that they live at the heart of the world, and geographically speaking, they're right. It's one of those places that turns a map into a memory. The United States is more than highways, cities, and landmarks. It's a living patchwork of wonders that constantly defy logic. From rivers that vanish underground to deserts in Alaska, boiling waters in Yellowstone, and glaciers that creep across the land, the US is a geographic kaleidoscope. Some of these facts sound fictional, yet they're all part of the same incredible reality. One nation that holds almost every landscape imaginable. If there's one thing these 50 facts prove, it's that geography isn't just about maps. It's about mystery, contrast, and motion. You can watch a volcano erupt, feel sand dunes under snow, or float in a salt lake that mirrors the sky. The next time someone says they've seen America, you might want to ask, which part? Because no matter how much you travel, there's always another unbelievable corner waiting just down the road. But now that you know these 50 facts, if you had to choose just one, which would it be? Which one did you like or impact you the most? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments and find out how many of you agree. However, what many of us would also agree on is watching the video on screen, because we all like to have something to share and learn more about, and that's precisely what this video will achieve. But first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit like.